Hello and welcome to the Jungle Brothers podcast. Joey and Paul with you today.
Good day.
JB Games has just played out here in Botany and also at Five Dock. Not sure about the other gyms. I don't know if Ballina and Cabarita Beach ran a games event this year. However, this is one of the hallmark events of the Jungle Alliance culture. And it got me thinking that running events is A, quite a challenge, but two, when you're early on in the game, not something you really necessarily know how to do unless you've had experience with events before. So today, Paulie is going to outline for us the process that he follows to create an event. And so if you want to run one yourself, you can use this process right here. Enjoy. Paulie, how are you? Energetically after the JB games?
Yes. Yeah. Relative to last week, really, it's a normal week, really.
Is it?
Yeah, but it feels a lot quieter because we're not jamming in between all the gaps, experimenting with games and working out spreadsheets and fucking trying to sign people up. So yeah, it's a quieter week.
It's a big energetic output.
Yes.
Creating that event and then running it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
I think from the outside, it's probably the thing that's not can be appreciated.
Yep, yeah, and we've learnt the hard way over the years, and yes, and we get better at kind of planning it more ahead. Getting staff on board, starting the dialogue early, both with the members, the awareness of it, as well as with the crew here, the staff, and trying to let them know, hey, this is the date, make sure you're here for this event, put it in your calendars so you don't get fucking flaked on, the week before type of thing. Get the full buy-in, because you need staff for that. We can't do it alone. We just say Dylan and I and now Sam.
Yeah, that raises a good question. Tell me in short, what are the main concerns when you're coming into an event like that? Like take your head to, 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. What are the main concerns that you're going through there?
Oh, straight away, I just want buy-in.
Buy-in? Like attendance?
Attendance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I want attendance and buy-in. And then I wanted to create a fucking awesome event that has that thing that comes out of it. And that's always a nerve-wracking thing. It's like putting on a big party or a dinner party that flops. Like you don't want that. So, you're stressing about that. So we want... Yeah, exactly.
Want to be a sick event.
Yep.
We want people to show up.
Yep.
I guess spending isn't really a factor for this sort of event, is it? It's not that kind of thing.
No. Yeah.
Like you're not worried about going over budget.
No, not for this one.
Yeah.
No, this was very much about...
But say you had a business partner, I don't know, hypothetically, a guy called, let's say his name is Tiora. And you guys are in business together.
Tiori.
And Tiori, right. And this hypothetical guy, Tiori, is helping for an event. He's got some ideas of his own.
Yeah.
Maybe budget could be a concern in that regard.
That's true. Yeah. You got to watch out for that.
Okay. Watch your Tioris.
Should it happen.
Yeah. Keep your Tioris close, but your Tiori's closer. Shout out, bro. Okay, very good. Yeah, those concerns are important. Okay, and so... let's talk then about this sort of process. We had a little chat before the show, but let's talk about the main points here, because I suppose following this process is how you put your best foot forward and do everything you can to make sure those concerns don't become a reality, like to make sure you do a good job and people show up.
Yep. I guess I want to preface it all by saying I'm not an events management fucking expert. I think it's a degree. It's at least a diploma, but that's a profession. Events management, yeah? Event planning. Event planning.
It is.
And if you say run something like the JB Games, which is, it's not like dinner with 6 people, it's busier than that. And then you think of something that's going on at the convention center or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, fuck, man, that was actually quite hard just doing what we did. That next level where you've got $1 million in a budget and stuff like that, timelines and it has to be a profession, man. You got to hit.
Absolutely. But I think it's that's the whole gym management game, isn't it? That you are many things, you know? All right. So then tell me first cab off the rank is the why behind the event, why you're doing it.
Yeah, so it can be easy to get caught up with just fucking doing a thing because you're doing a lot of things in the gym life. And part of your, thing that you've got to do is run an event as well as run classes and write programs and stuff like that. It's the same as when you write a program, for a class program, there's got to be an intention in that. And knowing that intention makes you coach it and run it in such a way that gets that out of it. It's the same with the event. Just what is it there for and why? That's going to help drive like where you're putting your time and your decision making because why. In this case, you could call it retention, but it is basically a cultural thing here to build camaraderie amongst us and the members as well as the members amongst themselves. Knowing that is important for development here and long-time training relationships, etc., as well as it's part of the training program actually, which is it's a time where we test all of these things that we're training throughout the year. So for us, just remembering all of those, it's like going to help us like where do we put our energy into?
Yeah. Yeah, you can already see it because someone will be like, oh, why don't we do an event like this? That sounds awesome. And be like, oh, fuck yeah, that sounds fun. Let's throw it in. Yep. But actually, if that doesn't really fit in with what the emphasis of the programming has been, or the programming the programming philosophy as a whole, like, well, yeah, that would be fun, but it's unrelated, so no. Like,
yeah, that's right. There's probably two other good examples as well. Is like, in the whole organizing, it's like spending too much time on the food and snacks, for instance, where you could say that makes it really cool, but instead, like, when we do the events, we've got the template from the year before. It's like, let's just do those events again. But we almost, it elevated us to do more because just running it is sometimes not enough. You need to make it like really cool and interesting. We need to make the gym look different to how it is when they walk in. So even though at one stage we had this event set, we realized we're actually going to need to use more equipment and just aesthetically hang more shit around and move the gear around because the experience for them coming into it needs to be cooler and different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, it just kind of drives us to do how we do it,
Second point, budget.
Oh yeah, you kind of touched on that. I guess if you're thinking about your Christmas party, and you could say that the why for that is very similar, except for the training part.
Yep.
It's similar, but it is a bigger deal and there's more money involved. You've got to kind of set a budget out for that.
But you have a budget for the games. It's just a small one, no?
True. Yep.
So you still have to consider it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's true.
Like, what are we doing? We putting on lunch? Are we bringing fucking decorations into the gym? Are we hiring a DJ to play?
Yeah.
Like people could really go to town with all that stuff.
That's right.
I guess, speaking for you, the intent of where the gym would usually spend the money for an event would be the Christmas party.
Mm-hmm.
So the games is like, how do we put something on that doesn't cost us much, or anything besides time and like effort?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, because you said earlier, if you don't decide on your budget, then you'll usually end up blowing shit out. You'll usually end up spending way more than you need to. Where if you've laid it out, you've said this is how much we want to spend, that's all we can do.
Yep.
Then you usually end up somewhere around there.
Yeah. And sometimes setting a budget gets you to actually spend more. So if there is a significant return from that event or potential return from that event, the budget is also going to tell you that, you could buy some peanuts for everyone, or you could buy like some better food and create some fucking prize vouchers or something like that. It's like, oh, okay, we're actually underspending a little here. Yeah, we made it awesome, but we have an obligation to make it just even more awesome because we stand to earn a lot more back from it.
Yeah. And so then the next thing we come to is your agenda. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, that's just the bones of the fucking thing itself. From the date that it's on, considering where it is in the calendar, Has it got room to move around other events? What time it goes for, like how long it goes for in a day, working out the breaks. Like for the JB Games, there's quite a lot of events and kind of scheduling that goes on, just working that out, including the content itself of what events we're going to run, what games are happening inside of that. There's quite a lot in that, and that's the meat and potatoes that's makes it so special. It's all the ideas and fun that we have making fucking fun games in it. So I guess there's the creative part of the actual events, but yeah, there's also like, hey, what time is it on? What date is on? Is that appropriate? Are people going to be able to make that time? Is it around another holiday or school holidays or something like that? It's really just trying to consider everything when building, the basic overview of the day.
Yeah, fuck. I remember not paying any attention to like school holidays or public holidays.
Yeah.
with just choosing event dates in the past, and it stitches you up so much.
Yeah.
Because you like look at the yearly calendar, oh, let's just put that workshop on there. That looks good.
Yeah.
And then you find out it's the fucking Easter long weekend or it's the week before or after the Easter long, and people are just like, everyone's in a bit of chaos during those periods.
Yep. There's actually quite a bit in that. Like we've learned like the hard way, as you said, and we've become more mindful of that. In particular, the JB Games being tied in with the programming. We touched on that. We need to know that at the beginning of the year, what date that's on, because our programs taper in towards it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
yeah,
we don't want them to be halfway through a phase and then come to the games. We want them peaking for that.
That's a nice touch. We never did that before,
We never did that back in the day.
Yep.
So they taper into it. Plus, it informs us on how to prepare them for the games.
Yeah.
We spoke the other day how we probably fell short on the Fight Factory part. We basically had a bunch of people that were not coordinated enough to be doing the striking event. It was just a bit of a shambles.
Well, to be doing it to a standard that you could
Exactly.
witness.
Yeah. I mean, if you need me in the balls with that technique, it'd still hurt.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look any good. So, we dropped the ball there. So that was a reflection and learning for us. But in terms of the other programs, it worked really well. The lift program, going into the specific lift that was asked for. There was a couple of lifting events, one with the barbell, one with sandbags.
So I saw that sandbag up onto the box. That was great.
Yep. So they had freaking 3 or 4 phases leading into that. And then also with the obstacle course, people had done over the last 3 phases, balancing, rope climbing, et cetera, jumping, et cetera, because we're like, we have to get them ready. Like you can't throw them in without the training.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
so good.
Yeah, it's good. It works really well.
Which, I mean, we never did that in the beginning. So that's a beautiful evolution of the event to have it sort of that watertight that you're thinking about it many training cycles before.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get people prepared.
Yep.
Good. Talk to me about communications.
So I guess it goes back to the buy-in that I was talking about. So you want to lock in the important details in your agenda, like the date, the basics of what's involved, even if you don't have all the details. Some of the exciting and solid bits like the date and the time and the basics of how it works, enough so people can get excited on, and you can lock that in nice and early. But to get the buy-in, you got to start telling the story on it. So for us, we have our channels of communication in the gym, and they are the newsletter, our social media, our WhatsApp group, and then class announcements, which is actually kind of the most effective one. It's talking. We also have the coaches development session, which is our staff meeting every week, and there's a agenda item there, and it really starts actually there, which is upcoming events, and then starting to talk about it with the coaches, and then strategically putting that into class announcements that week. And then, it rolls on from there. So you're trying to get the juices flowing. So yeah, you got to have those details, like the details cranked in. I should say we've also got the chalkboard downstairs. So those are all our channels actually that I mentioned.
Yeah.
So
and Glowfox to an extent.
That's true. Yep. Yeah.
This is the booking system the gym uses.
Yep. We make a poster in the gym.
Yep.
This year we used QR codes. We're using QR codes for everything to
Yeah.
get you into a WhatsApp group, you know.
Okay, a specific event WhatsApp group.
Yeah, you
Very
know,
nice.
when we go bowling, we just have the poster with the WhatsApp group, and it just helps because it
Yeah.
tells you that they're coming. And then, hey, plans have changed. Oh, hey, we're over this end of the park, whatever it is.
Hey guys, the bowling alley's out of tomato sauce. Gonna have to be mustard on the hot dogs tonight.
That sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
PSAs and shit.
PSAs. So, you know, it's posters. It's just basically getting the message out early, repeating the message and the details. And then, you know, we start looking for that buy-in. There was registration this year via the QR code on the poster. Et cetera.
Registration. That's a newer learning too, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a new one for this
Used to
year.
just be show up, be there.
Yeah, yeah. And actually last year we tried registration, but we were a bit soft cocky on it.
Right.
And it kind of just turned into, just not enough strictness on rego.
Yeah.
This year, we were much stricter about how we just communicated that. And we still had some people come in last minute for sure, but we had more people register earlier. So we were able to organise 90% of the teams evenly spread, saved us time on the day.
Beautiful.
It was really good. We got to plan a bit more. And then what happened, which was awesome, was because of that registration, we just had the best buy-in on the day that we've had before. And it's really hard to measure, except we went over 2 hours this year and only one person left the
Wow.
event before
Yeah,
the
okay.
end. Whereas we've been over 2 hours or even less before, but people were dropping off. And
Yeah.
anyway, we were really quite stoked about that.
Wow, that's great.
People were not even looking at the time too
Yeah.
much.
It's an interesting point you make about it being hard to measure, but you just get a feel for, wow, that was like
Yeah.
that hit a lot harder. We know now how important that buy-in thing is for people, isn't it?
I'm going to charge them $100 next year.
Yeah. Because if you're listening, right, it's the difference between like someone saying to you, hey, I'm having a party this weekend, or in a couple of weeks, and I'd really love you to come. So if you can come, and you're like, yeah, cool. And then, you know, maybe forget about it. And then on Saturday afternoon, 2 weeks, oh, fuck, the party's tonight. Yeah, I'll go through. Whereas when they say, hey, I'm having a party in 2 weeks, I need you to RSVP by tomorrow.
Yes.
And you send them the text message saying, yes, me plus one. And then you're like, fuck yeah, we're partying in 2 weeks.
That's right.
And for the next 14 days, you're anticipating the party, thinking about it, like, oh, what am I going to drink? Maybe I could bring some food.
Yeah.
You've bought in. I was just thinking to say, like, there is a downside to doing all of these things well, which is that, or to having a comprehensive structure like this in place. If you don't deliver on your structure, then it falls short. I.e., if you say people must register to come, but then you don't enforce the registration and you don't mention it in class announcement, and you don't create the WhatsApp group that's very easy to join,
Yes.
and you just kind of flake out on that side of it,
Yep.
then it kind of ends up being a bit of a flop, and you're like, why did we ever ask for registration? But if you go all in on that and go, no, motherfuckers, registrate, you have to register.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, see the poster there. Dylan told you about it in class. I'm telling you again.
Yes.
Then it hits.
It's true.
So I guess, you know, in that way, you also want to be mindful of the kind of person you are. Because
Yes.
I'm thinking about Tiora, right, at Ballina.
Yep.
He wouldn't go through with this level of comprehensiveness
Yep.
because that's not his style of things,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And, you know, he would make it work in his way.
Yeah. And that's how we did it originally. It's new, and I don't know, like the learning to me is I like it this way. I do. Mate, when I mentioned money before, I've just been ticking cogs in my head. I'd actually charge something because if you, for instance, money that would just go to a prize
Yeah.
or to, you know, it's the customary loser team buys the winning team a beer at the pub.
Yeah.
It could just be like something to do with drinks or something like that.
Could be a charity event.
Could be a charity event. Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude,
I
that's
mean,
the one.
Like
Let's
you're
do
saying,
that.
you're saying to people, hey, we're putting time and money
We do.
towards creating something that you're going to have a sick weekend. You're probably going to remember this forever. Like, yeah, there's absolutely no reason why it wouldn't be appropriate to charge for that.
I might even pay staff once, just for once.
Damn.
You know?
Fuck, they'd be blown away.
They're blown away. They get
I
stuff.
feel like I
lunch and
thought this
drinks.
place was a charity.
Yeah.
I had something on the top of my dome there, but not to worry. Yeah, okay, very good. So comms, and I guess the other side of that is telling the story. You need to be looking at. Well, actually, this probably comes down to thing, but you want to be thinking about how much time do we have leading up to the event? What do I need to be saying when? Like that's actually the comms thing is quite a big job, isn't it? In terms of just
Yes.
making sure that you are consistently talking about it.
Yeah, that's
not just
right.
putting up an Instagram post this month
Yeah,
and
yes,
then,
yeah.
hey guys, it's next week in 2 months' time.
Yeah, yeah. So in botany, we kind of got the two roles happening. One is the voice of the tribe, which has now gone back to Dylan for the last 2 months, maybe 3 months. And it's, man, this system, I really love it because it kind of we just made it over the last couple of years, but it starts with coaches development. So from coaches development, the events upcoming, we have the events that are upcoming that's listed there. But further to that, it goes into a class announcements section there. And then when writing the newsletter, the weekly newsletter, you basically open your coaches development and a lot of your newsletter announcements and stuff, wins and lessons from the week, it all starts from there. So you start building your newsletter from that.
Yep.
So then it's in your newsletter and it just rolls on from there. So Dylan really, he looks at what's coming up and then he decides kind of what's relevant to talk about that week. This one he's coming up, Paul's in the coaches know that's coming up in 4 months' time. This week I'm going to focus on the next two. You know what I mean? And then for me, the social media side, I've a different template where I'm like, I'm doing social media. I check in, I'm in the meeting, so I know what's upcoming. And that helps remind me, hey, I need to start talking about that because we just talked about it in the group.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just kind of, those processes really help, if I can make it hit home.
Next one, staffing.
Yeah. It's just, who do you need for an event? To run it. For JB Games, we need quite a few people. We need coaches. So we want to get them locked into that event. We want to get them locked in nice and early and committed. So the yearly calendar really, really helps. The kind of box calendar that we have in the office.
So they know,
they know
very
ahead of
early
time.
on when it's coming up.
Exactly. And we've not done that before. And, you get burnt where you're kind of like, guys, like I need you. And they're like, oh, I've got this trip away and another coach has got something else booked. So it's just letting them know. I guess the other part of staffing something is like, whether it's this or the Christmas party, you do need people. When you have an event with lots of people, you don't want to be the fucking person everyone goes to. More people that are coming, the more that you want there. Even if it's, say, bowling, and we have, there's quite a few people came to the last one, 30
That
to
was
40.
the bowling piece?
The last bowling event.
Yeah.
And if I was the only coach there, that would kind of be a lot.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to enjoy myself a bit. And that side, that team on the end there ended up with all the, just a weird mix. They weren't getting along. So I'm worried about them energetically not having a good night.
Yeah.
So dependent on how many people are there, you should have a ratio of coaches. Even if it's a social event, I think that's true because you just end up carrying a lot of that. People ask you questions, you're still the go-to person on that night. And, and I'm just speaking straight from experience where you're just like, fuck, I just want to relax at this thing.
You're like mid-event and someone's like, hey, would it be okay if I put my membership on pause from the 17th?
Yeah. Yeah. So just,
it makes me, just think about that. Like, common question's going to come off that. Do you pay the coaches? You already touched on, no, the coaches don't get paid to do that stuff.
No.
We see events like that as being in their interest because it's a rapport building activity.
Yes.
For them, and it's helping to foster their PT business and all of those things.
Absolutely.
But it totally makes sense, doesn't it? That you be like, you could also run it. It would be very appropriate to charge people to attend, and then there could be some payment for the coaches to do it.
Yes, yeah, yep.
Of course, they would appreciate that.
The thing with the staffing bit, also we spoke earlier about delegation. Just basically, get people to help you run your events. even though you think you can do it all, and you maybe you can, or maybe you want to do it your way, you don't think they're going to be able to do it the way that you want to do it. You just have to get people to help, because on the day, if you're doing everything, then you're not talking to members. You're not enjoying yourself at all. And it's stressful, and I've done that too many times now. You want to picture yourself, and the why that we were talking about before, you want to be able to actually connect with people on the day as well, to some extent.
Yeah.
So delegate and get help. We often get help from members, and that's kind of part of that contribution part, where we know that people like to help. And as soon as you ask for help, you have people who are like, oh yeah, and then that brings them in. A bunch of people who don't want to compete but are really interested, and they're kind of like intimidated by the whole thing. We just recruited them to help us run it.
Yeah.
It's the sweetest little deal.
I mean, I think that is probably the one thing out of all this that would be a surprise to some other gym owner, would be that your members, assuming they like the place, really want to contribute for the most part. And so we often have people who will come to an event, like the gym's running a planting day or games or whatever, and people will show up and they've made food for everyone else.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to work, but I just stopped off. I thought I'd drop this food off. And you're like, fuck, like you took your own time to make this food to,
Yeah.
So if you didn't ever, it's not like you're asking like, hey, who wants to make food? But you are making it known that, yeah, if you want to be involved in a way and contribute something, please feel free. And people feel really great about doing that.
Yeah, and you're kind of touching on, and we're kind of going on this list of event planning points, but you're touching on like what event do you run? That's a really important point to make, because we recognize that earlier this year that we had too many events that were just events, kind of outputting events that didn't give people the opportunity to do exactly what you're saying, give back, which is why we're thinking of how to do the next event. And we want to make an event that gives people that opportunity, basically.
That's nice.
Because we skipped the planting day this spring. Autumn.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just the timetable, and it just didn't work out. And then there was rain for ages here.
Yeah.
So our next thing that we're going to do is going to give people that opportunity to do something.
Fuck yeah. Get your bake on.
Mm-hmm.
And then last point is the timeline.
Yes.
Talk me through that.
I guess that's really important. Like, all of this stuff has to go somewhere. You have to have a place for all this information to go. Usually you start a spreadsheet or a document that's shared with, the people who are collaborating on it. And, the timeline is part of that. I always have like a bit of for something like the JB Games, you'll just run a little bit of a line schedule, as we call it in the film industry. It's just showing you like the events leading up to it.
Line schedule, I never fucking heard of one of those.
Yeah, bro.
You're hanging out with people from other departments, obviously.
I'm also the guy who read the scripts, bro. Remember?
That's right. You did
like,
too.
This guy read the script.
Yeah, Polly's like, oh, today we're reshooting this. I'm like, how the fuck do you know that, bro? You're like, I read that.
Harold's really upset with Carol in this scene. But
fuck, that says so much about you, bro, that you read the scripts.
Oh yeah. Not all of them. Some of them. You funny cunt. But like leading up to an event, and these aren't that complicated, these events. But you do just want to consider what you need to do at what time leading up to the event. If you go back to comms, there's something that you need to establish straight away. So we have an idea for the Christmas party, say now, we're mid-year, we're thinking about it. We're like, okay, well, we need the Christmas party's late November. So now we need to book the place, and it's really busy. Everyone's booking venues. We need to book 2 months in advance or more if we can.
Yeah.
Plus, we want to start talking about it that far out. So, we actually need to think about where the venue's going to be, and that actually means that we got to think about the theme, because they kind of go together. People don't want to dress like clowns if it's in the CBD.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I have this timeline of tasks, and that is decide what the theme is and decide where we want to have the party, right? And then that gives us some details on like what to talk about. Well, actually, we can decide what date it is before all that, and tell everyone, lock this in, right?
But even announcing the date, that's an action that would be on your timeline, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Like locking in your, like, okay, have all of our events decided upon and the agenda written up.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I don't know, 4 weeks before or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I think at the point, like you say, it's a small event, but I think when you sit down, any event, you sit down and like list out all the actions.
It's true.
There's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty of doing that, even for something very simple, it just takes stress off your mind that like you'll handle all that stuff at the 11th hour if you have to.
Yeah.
But if you've done all of that previously, you can just have space to go to sleep the night before and wake up and be excited for the event because you know that all the moving parts have been coordinated.
Yes. Yep.
Like I was thinking with the registration thing you mentioned before, for you going to bed on the Friday night knowing that X amount of people have signed up, they're going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
There's no mystery about that. Maybe there'll be a couple of extras, maybe a couple won't make it, versus all the other Friday nights that we go to bed before the games where you're like, I hope someone shows up.
Oh, that's so...
Fuck, I hope someone, man, we put so much effort into this. I'm so tired already.
Oh, God, that's so true. Yeah. I probably didn't recognize that enough, but we knew 90% of the people that were coming the next day. And we had already split the teams. Remember, we had to do that on the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to hate that. It's awkward. Everyone's looking at you while you're fucking sifting through the teams.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it does. It just relieves the mind. And going to the Christmas party, like thinking about, knowing how the agenda is going to go over the night. You know, music, having the playlist from, say 4 till 6, and then it kind of steps up from 6 till 8, and then we do the speeches, and then after that it's party playlist 1, and then it's like after 11 playlist, and then it's like 2 till 4 playlist. Yeah, but just all that stuff. It's like fuck yeah, let's just enjoy ourselves.
I like that. That timeline piece, I'm thinking when I do that for things like I write down all the shit that has to get done, and then the column next to it is like, well, when does that happen? What's the deadline for that?
Yes.
And then you organize that sheet by date, and then you're like, all right, well, we've got to fucking meet these deadlines.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you do a similar thing?
Yeah, well, I use Trello now.
Oh, yeah.
So it's those visual art boards or cards rather. So, yeah, you can set little due dates on them, but more so I just drag them up and down.
Based on priority.
Priority, so the one at the top of the column. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, dog.
You know, one thing I was going to add to this, which is that like whether you follow that process to a T or, let's say you don't. Let's say you run the games like we did, years back where it's just like, fuck, what are we doing? Writing it down somewhere and storing it like on your Google Drive or like somewhere cloud-based, so that when you get to the planning stage next year, you can just look at what did we do last year?
Mate.
How? Because we often didn't record such things, did we? And then you're trying to remember, I think we did that thing where, what time did we start?
Dude.
Did people come? Like, I fucking can't even remember now. So long ago.
It was so useful this year and the year before, because I have them there and it's really the starting point. So useful. Because you put a lot of energy into figuring out the order of the games and what equipment's required. So what's buying us more time to clear the room while we do this mini game here. We're setting up for the barbell thing. That whole piece. Even down to the playlists, backup playlists or a start point for playlists.
Yeah.
They're already there. And then it allows you to add more things to it. So we had a lot of bits that were just, piggybacked from previous years. So this year, did you see the fucking slides that I made for it?
No.
Oh, I thought that was the best part. People loved it.
Where were the slides exhibited?
I made Canva slides.
Yeah.
For each event with the rules and everything on it.
Oh, wow. And that was on the...
It was displayed here.
Was it?
On the big screen.
Oh, okay. You put it up on the day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a great idea.
And I used the fucking...
You share that on their WhatsApp group as well or something?
No, just on the day.
Just here. Okay.
So it's like...
Sensation.
Oh, it was so good because it helped the day run and it helped everyone, that whole like not leaving early, I think was aided by that.
Yeah.
And the coaching, it was a coaching aid. It's like people going up to that thing to look at the rules and understand the rules and you've done all the thinking work later, and you've really worded it as efficiently as you can. It was a game changer.
Oh, that's mint.
Yeah, and I used Frank Frazetta as the inspo fucking animations.
I saw you had on the little poster or the WhatsApp group sign up
Yeah,
Rosetta image.
dude, it was so good. I can't wait to show you.
That's cool. Hey, there it is. Let's wrap it up there. That's amazing. You as a gym owner or, coach, whatever, if you're putting on an event, you should be able to hit all of those things. You don't have to go to the deep degrees on all of it, but you really should go through that process. If you need a reference of that, listen to the episode again or look in the description. I'll include that there as bullet points.
Cool.
But yeah, thanks, Paulie. Appreciate that.
No worries, man.
Catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.